My brothers and my sisters, listen to me carefully. Some tests do not end with applause. Some hardships do not leave with an announcement. There is no voice from the sky that says it is finished. The test simply releases you. One day you wake up and the weight is lighter. The fear no longer controls your thoughts. The pain no longer defines your identity. And you wonder, when did this change happen? It changed the moment Allah knew your heart was ready. Because Allah does not end a test when life becomes easy. He ends it when you become strong enough to carry whatever comes next. You thought the struggle was meant to break you, but it was shaping you. You thought the delay was punishment, but it was preparation. If you are still praying after the pain, still trusting after the disappointment, still standing after what should have destroyed you, then understand this clearly. You did not fail this test. You passed it. And today, I want to remind you how Allah knows when the final test is truly over. One, the test ends when your heart stops arguing with Allah. At the beginning of every test, the heart reacts before the soul understands. The mind searches for logic, and the tongue forms questions that come from pain, not disbelief. A person looks at their life and says, why me, Ya Allah? Why now, when I was finally stable? Why this pain, when I was trying to do better? Why did you allow this when you know my limits? These questions do not make someone weak in faith. They make them human. Allah created the heart and He knows how it trembles under pressure. He knows the tears before they fall, the sighs before they escape, and the thoughts we never dare to speak out loud. In the early stages of a test, the heart resists. It pushes back against reality. It tries to make sense of something that hurts too much to understand. This resistance often shows itself as constant inner arguments. A person keeps replaying events in their mind, searching for a different outcome, a different decision, a different path that could have avoided the pain. The heart keeps asking for explanations, as if clarity alone will remove the suffering. But clarity does not always heal. Sometimes it only deepens the wound. Then, slowly, something begins to change. Not suddenly, not dramatically, and not because life has improved. It changes quietly. The heart grows tired of fighting what it cannot control. The constant questioning begins to exhaust the soul. And in that exhaustion, a realization forms. Arguing with Allah does not bring peace. At that moment, the heart does not become passive and it does not give up, it lets go. There is a difference. Letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop trying to overpower the wisdom of the one who sees what you cannot see. This is the moment when the heart stops demanding explanations. A person no longer says, Ya Allah, if you fix this, then I will be patient. They no longer bargain with obedience or worship. They no longer attach their trust to conditions. Instead, a quieter dua replaces the noise. It is not dramatic. It is not long, it is simply sincere. Ya Allah, I trust you even if I do not understand what you are doing with my life. That sentence carries more strength than 1,000 questions. It is not surrender to defeat, it is surrender to wisdom. This is why that moment is not loss, it is victory. Victory over the ego that wants control. Victory over the illusion that we must understand everything in order to accept it. Victory over the belief that peace only comes when pain ends. True tawakkul does not wait for circumstances to improve. It appears while the storm is still active. Allah tells us in the Quran that whoever places their reliance upon Him, Allah is sufficient for them. He does not say Allah becomes sufficient after the problem disappears. He says Allah is sufficient while the problem exists. That means reliance itself is a form of protection. Many people misunderstand tawakkul. They think it means pretending that pain does not hurt or acting strong when the heart is breaking. That is not tawakkul. Tawakkul is honesty with Allah. It is admitting weakness while trusting strength. It is acknowledging fear while placing faith above it. When a person reaches that state, the test begins to lose its grip on them. The situation may still be difficult, but it no longer controls their inner world. And when the test no longer controls the heart, it has already served its purpose. Understand this clearly. Allah does not measure tests by how painful they are. He measures them by what they produce in the heart. If hardship produces humility, patience, sincerity, and closeness to Allah, then the test has succeeded. And once it succeeds, it does not need to remain in the same form. Sometimes Allah removes it, sometimes He softens it, sometimes He replaces it with something else, but the turning point always begins inside the heart, not outside, in circumstances. This is why two people can face the same hardship and one is destroyed while the other is elevated. The difference is not strength, intelligence, or luck. The difference is where the heart stands with Allah. When the heart stops arguing, it opens itself to acceptance. Acceptance does not mean approval of pain. It means trusting the wisdom behind it. A heart that accepts Allah's decree without conditions becomes lighter, even if the burden remains. There is also a subtle sign that this shift has happened. You stop asking, when will this end? And start asking, what does Allah want to teach me through this? That question changes everything. It turns suffering into meaning. It turns waiting into growth. And it turns pain into purification. When the heart reaches this stage, impatience begins to fade. Anger softens. Resentment loses its edge. The person may still feel sadness, but it no longer feels rebellious. It feels reflective. The test does not end when the pain disappears. This is where many people get confused. They think passing a test means immediate relief. But often relief comes later. First comes alignment. First comes acceptance. First comes peace in the heart. When the heart aligns with Allah's wisdom, the test has already ended in the sight of Allah, even if traces of it remain in life. So if you find that you are no longer fighting Allah in your heart, no longer questioning His intentions, no longer attaching your faith to outcomes, then understand what that means. It means Allah has carried you to the other side of the test internally. What remains externally is only a process. The real battle was always inside you. And the moment your heart accepted Allah's wisdom without conditions, you won. That is when the test truly ends. 2. Allah does not test what He has abandoned. One of the most dangerous thoughts that enters the heart during hardship is the belief that Allah has turned away from you. When pain lasts longer than expected, when dua seems unanswered, and when relief does not come quickly, the heart whispers, maybe Allah is displeased with me. Maybe I am being punished. Maybe I am forgotten. This thought does not come from strength. It comes from exhaustion. And if it is not corrected, it can slowly poison faith. So let us be very clear about something fundamental. Allah does not test what He has abandoned. Allah tests what He is refining. He tests what He cares about. He tests what He intends to raise. If Allah wanted to ignore you, He would leave you comfortable but distant. He would allow you to drift without guilt. He would let you sin without remorse and sleep without prayer. That is abandonment. Ease without guidance is far more dangerous than hardship with Allah's attention. A heart that feels pain but still turns to Allah is not rejected. It is chosen. Look at the lives of the prophets, and this confusion disappears. The most beloved people to Allah were tested the most severely. Nuh was mocked for centuries. Ibrahim was thrown into fire. Yusuf was betrayed, imprisoned, and forgotten. Musa was chased, rejected, and burdened with a nation that constantly disobeyed. And our Prophet Muhammad faced loss, hunger, exile, and grief that would break most hearts. None of this was because Allah disliked them. It was because Allah was preparing them. Testing is not a sign of distance. Testing is a sign of attention. It is Allah shaping the heart, stripping it of reliance on people, on plans, on control, and redirecting it back to Him. A heart that is never tested often becomes attached to the world. A heart that is tested learns where true safety lies. This is why hardship often awakens the soul. People who never prayed begin to pray. People who were distracted begin to reflect. People who trusted everything else begin to trust Allah. This does not happen because hardship is good in itself. It happens because Allah uses hardship as a tool of mercy. The pain pushes the heart toward what truly matters. Many people ask, if Allah loves me, why did He allow this? The better question is, if Allah allowed this, what kind of love is He building in me? Love that has never been tested is fragile. Faith that has never been shaken is shallow. Allah strengthens faith by placing it under pressure. Just as muscles grow by resistance, without pressure, there is no growth. Another truth we must understand is that tests are not always punishment for sins. Sometimes they are purification, sometimes they are elevation, sometimes they are protection from something worse that you cannot see. Allah's knowledge is not limited to the present moment. He sees outcomes you will never know. He blocks certain paths not to deprive you, but to save you. When Allah tests you, He is not asking whether you will survive. He already knows the outcome. The test is not for Allah, it is for you. It reveals what is inside your heart. It exposes attachments you did not realize you had. It uncovers weaknesses so they can be healed. And it brings sincerity to the surface. This is why a believer should never interpret hardship as proof of worthlessness. If anything, hardship is often a sign that Allah sees potential. He does not polish stones that will never shine. He does not refine hearts that are meant to remain empty. When Allah invests effort in shaping you, it is because He intends to use you for something greater than your comfort. There is also mercy hidden in the fact that tests have limits. Allah says that He does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear. This does not mean the test will feel easy. It means it is measured. Even when you feel overwhelmed, Allah knows exactly how much pressure your heart can take before it breaks. And He never crosses that line. If you are still breathing, still believing, still standing, then the test has not exceeded your capacity. That itself is evidence of Allah's care. Many people survive hardship and later realize that it saved them from arrogance, it humbled them, it made them compassionate, it made them patient. Without the test, they might have been successful but spiritually empty. With the test, they became grounded, aware and connected to Allah. This is not something you appreciate while it is happening. It becomes clear only in hindsight. So when you look at your pain, do not rush to label it as abandonment. Look deeper. Ask yourself what it has taught you. Ask yourself how it has changed your relationship with Allah. Ask yourself whether it has softened your heart or hardened it. If it brought you closer to Allah, then it was not rejection. It was guidance in a difficult form. Remember this as well. Allah tests believers in different ways. Some are tested with loss, some with waiting, some with loneliness, some with responsibility, and some with blessings that threaten to distract them. Every test is tailored. Allah does not randomly distribute pain. He gives each soul what it needs for its journey. When the test begins to ease, or when your heart begins to feel stronger within it, do not assume Allah finally noticed you. He was always watching. The test ends not because Allah became merciful, but because mercy was the reason for the test in the first place. So hold on to this truth firmly. If Allah is testing you, He has not left you. He is working on you. He is protecting you from something unseen. He is preparing you for something ahead. And when the lesson is learned, the test will either end or transform, because Allah does not keep pain without purpose. Allah never abandons what He is shaping. 3. The final test leaves you humble, not arrogant. One of the clearest signs that a test has truly ended is not found in your circumstances, but in your character. When a test finishes its work, it does not inflate the ego, it softens the heart. It does not make a person loud about their strength. It makes them quiet about their dependence on Allah. If hardship made you arrogant, then it did not finish shaping you. But if it humbled you, then understand that the test reached its purpose. At the beginning of pain, people often imagine that surviving difficulty will make them feel powerful. They think that once the struggle is over, they will stand taller than others and feel superior for enduring what others could not. But Allah does not raise people by feeding their ego. He raises them by breaking it gently, then rebuilding it correctly. Real strength in Islam is never arrogance. It is humility anchored in awareness of Allah. When a person comes out of a severe test, they stop assuming things about others. Before pain, it is easy to judge. Easy to say, why are they weak? Easy to think, if that were me, I would handle it better. But after pain, that language disappears. You realize how fragile people truly are. You understand that everyone is carrying something unseen. You stop measuring others by what you can see, because your own deepest battles were invisible to most people. This humility is not insecurity, it is clarity. You no longer see yourself as self-made. You no longer attribute survival to intelligence, planning, or personal strength. You know the truth. You were carried. There were moments you should have broken, but you did not. There were nights you had no strength left, yet you woke up the next day. There were times when your heart was empty, but somehow you kept going. And you know with certainty that this did not come from you. That awareness changes how you speak, how you listen, and how you treat people. You become slower to criticize and quicker to excuse. You stop demanding perfection from others because you know how messy growth can be. Hardship removes the illusion that people are simple. It teaches you that every smile may hide a struggle and every silence may be heavy with pain. Allah loves humility because it keeps the heart open. An arrogant heart cannot receive guidance. It thinks it already knows. But a humble heart remains teachable. It listens, it reflects. It stays aware of its dependence on Allah. This is why Allah often breaks arrogance through hardship, not to humiliate, but to save a person from spiritual destruction. Pride distances a person from Allah far more than weakness ever could. After a test, a humble person does not boast about how patient they were. They remember how close they came to despair. They remember moments of weakness, doubt, and fear. And instead of being ashamed of those moments, they become grateful that Allah did not abandon them during them. This gratitude replaces pride. A person begins to say in their heart, Ya Allah, if you left me to myself for even a moment, I would have been lost. This humility also shows itself in worship. Before the test, worship may have been routine. After the test, worship becomes sincere, not louder, not longer for display, but deeper. Dua becomes honest, stripped of formality. Salah becomes refuge, not obligation alone. The heart no longer stands before Allah with entitlement. It stands with need. And Allah loves a servant who knows they need Him. Another sign of humility after hardship is the loss of bitterness. A person who has truly passed a test does not come out angry at the world. They do not carry resentment toward Allah or people. They may still remember the pain, but it does not define them. Instead of bitterness, they carry understanding. They realize that pain was not personal, it was purposeful. And once you understand that, resentment has no place to grow. Humility also changes how a person views success after hardship. When Allah opens doors after difficulty, a humble person does not rush to claim credit. They do not forget where they came from. They do not look down on those still struggling. They remember the days when they were the one asking Allah for relief. And that memory keeps their heart grounded even when their situation improves. This is why humility is one of the greatest gifts a test can leave behind. Without it, success becomes dangerous, comfort becomes corrupting. But with humility, blessings become safe. A humble heart can carry ease without becoming ungrateful. It can handle praise without becoming arrogant. It can receive blessings without forgetting Allah. Understand this clearly. A test that ends with arrogance was not completed properly. It may have paused, but its lesson remains unfinished. Allah does not remove hardship to create pride. He removes hardship once humility has settled in the heart. Because humility protects faith long after pain has passed. So if you notice that you are gentler than before, more patient with people, more aware of Allah, less judgmental, and less impressed with yourself, then recognize what that means. The test did not break you. It shaped you. It removed something dangerous from your heart and replaced it with something beautiful. And that is how you know the final test truly left its mark. 4. When the test ends, the heart finds peace before life improves. One of the biggest misconceptions people carry is that the end of a test must look dramatic. They expect a sudden change in circumstances, a clear victory, or an obvious reward. They believe that when Allah ends a test, life must immediately become easier. But this is not how Allah works with the heart. Very often, the test ends internally long before anything changes externally. The first sign is not relief in life. The first sign is peace in the heart. A person may still be facing the same challenges. The situation may look exactly the same to everyone else. The problems may not have disappeared, but inside something has shifted. The heart is no longer restless. The mind no longer races endlessly. The weight that once sat on the chest begins to lift, not completely, but enough for the soul to breathe again. That peace does not come from solutions, it comes from Allah. This is why Allah places great importance on sakina. Sakina is not happiness. It is not excitement. It is not the absence of pain. It is a calm that settles into the heart despite uncertainty. It is the ability to sit with difficulty without being consumed by it. When Allah places sakina in the heart, it changes how a person experiences hardship. The storm may still exist, but it no longer lives inside you. Before the test ends, the heart is constantly agitated. Every small issue feels overwhelming. Every delay feels unbearable. Every silence feels heavy. The mind keeps replaying worst case scenarios. Sleep becomes difficult. Peace feels impossible. But when the test has served its purpose, Allah eases the heart even if He does not immediately change the situation.